Hello, my friends, and welcome to English Without Limit. I'm Julia, and I'm so glad you're here with me today. This podcast is your space to practice English in a natural, friendly, and engaging way. Whether you're listening at home, on your walk, or during your commute, I want you to feel like we're sitting together, having a real conversation. In this episode, we'll explore everyday English through stories, dialogues, and examples that come from real life. You'll hear how people talk at work, at school, while shopping, when traveling, and even during family life at home. Every story is a chance for you to listen, repeat, and practice. Not just words, but the rhythm and feeling of English. So, let's begin with one of the most important areas of life: work. Workplaces are full of conversations. You talk to colleagues, managers, or clients, and the way you express yourself can make a big difference. Let's imagine you work in an office with a colleague named Daniel. One morning, he comes to you and says, "Could you please help me with this report? I need it ready before the afternoon meeting." Now, how could you reply politely? One natural way is, "Sure, Daniel, I can take a look at it right after I finish this email." This answer is professional, respectful, and cooperative. At work, using clear and respectful language is key. For example, when you need help, instead of saying something direct like, "Do this for me," you can say, "Would you mind giving me a hand with this?" Or, "Could you assist me with this task?" These small phrases show respect and make teamwork easier. Let me share a story with you. Last year, I was working on a big project with my team, and the pressure was very high. My manager, Mr. Adams, came to my desk and said, "Julia, the client needs the presentation slides by 3 p.m. Can you manage it?" I had other tasks waiting, but I replied, "Yes, Mr. Adams. I'll prioritize the slides and make sure they're ready on time." That moment taught me an important lesson: how to organize my tasks better and how to communicate clearly with my boss. Sometimes at work, you also need to ask for updates politely. Imagine you are waiting for a report from your colleague David. Instead of saying, "Where is the report?" which sounds a bit rude, you could say, "Hi, David, I just wanted to check if you have any updates on the report." When I worked on a team project last month, I had to coordinate with 5 different people. I remember sending a message to one teammate, Lisa. I wrote, "Lisa, could you please share the updated figures by the end of today? It will help me finalize the presentation." She replied quickly and appreciated that I asked nicely instead of demanding it. Teamwork also means dividing tasks clearly. Imagine your team is planning a company event. Sarah says, "I can handle the invitations and email communication." Michael replies, "I'll book the venue and arrange the chairs." You might add, "I'll take care of the food and refreshments." Later, your manager says, "Great teamwork, everyone. This event will be successful because of your cooperation." I once helped organize an office charity event, and everyone had a small role. That experience taught me that dividing tasks clearly is just as important as completing your own part. Now, feedback is another essential skill at work. Imagine your colleague Thomas gives a presentation. After the meeting, you could say, "Thomas, I really liked your presentation. The visuals were clear and your explanation was easy to follow. I think adding a short summary at the end would make it even stronger." This is what we call constructive feedback. It's feedback that points out what is good, while also giving a helpful suggestion for improvement. I remember last winter, my manager, Mrs. Anderson, told me, "Julia, your report was detailed and well organized. One thing to consider next time is to add more examples from recent data." That advice stayed with me, and it helped me write better reports in the future. At work, mistakes also happen. Everyone makes them, but how you respond is what matters. Imagine you sent an email with the wrong attachment to a client. You could write back, "Dear Mr. Roberts, I apologize for the confusion in my previous email. Please find the correct document attached. Thank you for your understanding. Last year, I accidentally sent the wrong schedule to my team. As soon as I realized it, I immediately wrote, 'Dear team, I made an error in the meeting schedule. Here is the updated version. Sorry for the inconvenience.' My colleagues appreciated that I admitted the mistake quickly and fixed it without blaming anyone. And finally, clear communication about deadlines is another important part of work life. Imagine your manager, Mr. Thompson, says, "Julia, we need the marketing plan completed by next Monday. Can you manage that?" You might respond, "Yes, Mr. Thompson, I'll make sure it's ready, and I'll share a draft by Friday for your review." A few months ago, I had to submit a project report under a very tight schedule. I emailed my team, "Please send me your sections by Thursday afternoon so I can compile everything on time." Everyone appreciated the clear instructions, and we finished the project efficiently. So as you can see, at work we practice English not only by doing tasks, but by expressing respect, asking politely, giving feedback, admitting mistakes, and managing time clearly. Every conversation at work is a chance to build trust and confidence. Now that we've explored the workplace, let's shift to another important part of life: school and learning environments. Whether you're a student yourself, a parent supporting a child, or simply remembering your own school days, these conversations are full of opportunities to practice polite and natural English. Imagine a student named Emma. She's in class and she didn't fully understand part of the lesson. Instead of staying silent, she politely raises her hand and says, "Excuse me, could you explain this part of the lesson again? I didn't quite understand." This kind of language is powerful because it's respectful and it shows responsibility. Teachers really appreciate when students ask questions. It shows that you are engaged and want to learn. I remember visiting my cousin Sarah, who is a teacher at a local school. One day, a student came to her after class and said, "Miss Sarah, I'm having trouble with my homework. Could you give me some advice?" Sarah smiled and replied, "Of course. Let's look at it together. I'll guide you step by step." That simple, supportive conversation helped the student feel confident again. School life also includes group projects. Imagine a group of 4 students: Daniel, Emma, Peter, and Sophia. They're preparing a science project together. Daniel says, I think we should start with the research part first. Emma replies, That's a good idea. I can look up some information online. Peter adds, I'll write the introduction for our report. Sophia concludes, Great. Then I'll design the presentation slides. That short conversation is a perfect example of teamwork in a school setting. Everyone contributes and everyone feels included. But what happens when communication doesn't go smoothly? I remember during my college days, our group had to present about renewable energy. One member didn't update the team on his progress, and it caused a lot of stress for the rest of us. From that experience, I learned that keeping your team updated is just as important as finishing your own part. Now let's move to another school-related situation. Presentations. Imagine a student named James standing in front of the class. He begins by saying, Good morning, everyone. Today, I will talk about the importance of healthy eating habits. After his presentation, another student, Olivia, raises her hand and says, Thank you, James. I have a question. How many fruits and vegetables should we eat each day? James responds, Experts recommend at least 5 servings of fruits and vegetables daily. This small exchange shows how asking and answering questions politely makes presentations interactive and engaging. I still remember when I was a student myself, I was extremely nervous about presenting. My professor, Mr. Lewis, noticed my nerves and gave me some advice I'll never forget. He said, Julia, remember to speak slowly and clearly. The class wants to understand you, not just hear you. That advice changed the way I approached presentations forever. Parent-teacher communication is also a vital part of school life. Imagine a father, Mr. Clark, attending a meeting with his child's teacher. He says, Good afternoon, Miss Harris. How is my daughter Emily doing in mathematics? Miss Harris replies warmly, Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. Emily is improving. She needs a bit more practice with multiplication, but her progress is good. Mr. Clark then says, Thank you for letting me know. I'll help her practice more at home. That respectful conversation not only strengthens the relationship between parent and teacher, but it also helps the student feel supported at home. I remember when I was young, my father once visited my school to ask about my progress. The teacher said, She's doing well, but she needs to read more at home. That short talk motivated me to spend more time with books, and it improved my skills greatly. Another common school situation is preparing for exams. Imagine a student named Mia. She approaches her teacher and says, Mr. Carter, I'm having trouble understanding this chapter. Could you recommend some ways to study it effectively? Mr. Carter replies, Certainly, Mia. Try making short notes, summarizing each section, and practicing sample questions. Reviewing regularly will help you remember better. When I was in school, I also struggled with history. My teacher suggested writing short summaries of important dates and events. That simple method helped me raise my grades and gave me confidence. Sometimes students also ask for guidance beyond academics. For example, Leo, a student, goes to his teacher, Mrs. Bennett, and says, "Mrs. Bennett, I'm not sure whether to join the debate club or the art club. Could you give me some guidance?" Mrs. Bennett replies, "Both are excellent choices, Leo. If you enjoy speaking and presenting, the debate club is great. If you enjoy creating things, the art club will help you develop your skills." I remember a similar moment in my own student life. I had to choose between joining a photography club or a writing club. I asked my teacher for advice, and her thoughtful answer helped me choose the best fit for my interests. School communication also extends to librarians and resource centers. Imagine Sophie, a student, asking the librarian, "Excuse me, I'm looking for books on environmental science. Could you guide me?" The librarian replies, "Certainly, Sophie. The section is on the 3rd floor, aisle 7. These books are suitable for your level." Last year, I asked for help finding books about modern technology. Thanks to clear guidance from the librarian, I found exactly what I needed. Sometimes students ask for extra practice, too. Imagine Liam speaking to his teacher, "Miss Harper. Miss Harper, could you provide some additional exercises for the geometry chapter?" She responds, "Of course, Liam. I'll prepare a worksheet and send it to your email. Try solving it this weekend." I once asked my math teacher for extra exercises. She handed me a small booklet of problems, and practicing them helped me finally understand difficult concepts. And finally, let's look at a common situation before exams. Imagine a student named Noah asking his teacher, "Miss Harper, I'm unsure which topics are most important for the upcoming history exam. Could you advise?" Miss Harper answers, "Noah, focus on the events we discussed in class, especially the major political changes and economic developments. I'll also give you a summary sheet for revision." When I was in school, I often asked similar questions before exams, and it always helped me study with more focus and less stress. So, school conversations, whether they're between students and teachers, among classmates, or between parents and educators, are all opportunities to practice English that is polite, clear, and supportive. We've talked about the workplace and about school life. Now let's step into another part of everyday living: shopping and daily errands. Shopping is something we all do, whether it's buying groceries, clothes, or even something simple like a bus ticket. And each shopping trip is a chance to practice English in a real, natural way. Imagine you walk into a supermarket and the cashier asks, "Do you have a loyalty card?" You could reply, "Yes, here it is." Or, "No, I don't. How can I get one?" These short exchanges may seem small, but they build confidence and make everyday interactions smoother. I remember once I went shopping for groceries with my wife, Anna. We were looking for fresh apples, and I asked the shop assistant, "Excuse me, are these apples from the local farm?" She smiled and said, "Yes, they're fresh and delivered this morning." That little conversation made the whole shopping experience friendlier, and I realized that asking polite questions often leads to better service. Clothing stores are another great place to practice English. Imagine you want to try on a jacket. You could say, "Excuse me, could I try this on in a medium size?" The assistant might reply, "The fitting rooms are over there." If the jacket doesn't fit, you could say, "This is a little tight. Do you have a larger size?" A few months ago, I went shopping for a winter coat with my brother Michael. He found a coat he liked, but wasn't sure about the size. I told him, "Just ask the assistant if they have one in large." He did, and the assistant quickly brought the right size. Later, Michael told me, "I never realized that asking politely makes shopping so much smoother." Sometimes shopping isn't about buying, but about returning an item. Imagine you bought a pair of shoes that are too small. At the store, you might say, "Hello, I bought these shoes yesterday, but they don't fit. Could I exchange them for a larger size?" The shop assistant might ask, "Do you have the receipt?" And you could reply, "Yes, here it is." I remember last summer, I bought a kitchen appliance that didn't work properly. I went back to the store and said, "Good afternoon. This blender isn't working as expected. Could I replace it with a new one?" Because I was polite and clear, the assistant replaced it without any problem. Sometimes you need advice before buying something. Imagine you're in a furniture store. You could say, "Excuse me, could you tell me which table is more durable, this wooden one or the metal one?" The assistant might reply, "The wooden table is stronger and lasts longer, but the metal one is lighter and easier to move." A few weeks ago, Anna and I were choosing a dining table. I asked the shopkeeper, "Which one is easier to clean?" He replied, "The wooden table has a special coating so you can wipe it easily." Asking clear, polite questions helped us make the best choice. And let's not forget bookstores. Imagine you walk into one and say, "Excuse me, could you recommend a good novel for someone who enjoys mystery stories?" The assistant might reply, "I'd suggest this book. It's very popular and has excellent reviews." Last year, I went to a bookstore with Anna to find a gift for a friend. I asked, "Do you have any books suitable for teenagers?" The assistant gave us several suggestions, and we found the perfect one. Asking for recommendations politely always makes the process easier. Markets are another everyday place to practice English. Imagine you want fresh vegetables. You could say, "Good morning. How fresh are these tomatoes? Were they harvested today?" The vendor might reply, "Yes, they're fresh from the farm this morning." Last month, I visited a local market and asked about organic vegetables. The vendor explained where they came from and even gave me a small sample. That small conversation taught me that polite curiosity leads to better quality and sometimes even a little extra kindness. Electronics stores also provide good practice. Imagine you're looking at two smartphones and you ask the assistant, "Can you tell me the difference between these two models?" The assistant might reply, "This model has a longer battery life, but the other has a better camera." A few weeks ago, I was shopping for a laptop and asked, "Which one is better for video editing?" The assistant explained all the specifications clearly, and I was able to make a confident choice. Another useful question is about payment options. Imagine you're at an electronics store buying a laptop. You could ask, do you accept installment payments or only full payment? The assistant might say, we accept both. You can pay in 3 monthly installments if you prefer. I remember buying a washing machine last year. I asked, can I pay in installments? The salesperson explained everything clearly, and it made the purchase much easier. Now let's step into food shopping. Imagine you're at a grocery store and ask, excuse me, are these oranges organic? The shop assistant could reply, yes, they're certified organic and fresh from the farm. Just last week, I asked about locally grown vegetables at a market. The vendor explained everything carefully, and I felt confident in my choices. And finally, sometimes you need to check product features. Imagine you're in an electronics store and ask, could you tell me if this laptop has a backlit keyboard and long battery life? The assistant might reply, yes, it has both. It's ideal for work and travel. Not long ago, I was buying a blender and asked about speed settings and warranty. The assistant explained everything clearly, and I chose the best model for my needs. So, shopping isn't just about buying things. It's about asking questions politely, making comparisons, giving compliments, and sometimes even returning items. Every time you enter a store, you have a chance to practice English in a natural, respectful way. Another big part of daily life where English is useful is travel and transport. Whether you're taking a bus, a train, a plane, or simply asking someone for directions, these situations are full of chances to practice clear and polite communication. Let's start with something simple. Asking for directions. Imagine your neighbor, Mrs. Wilson, asks you, could you tell me how to get to the post office from here? You could reply, sure. Go straight down the street, turn left at the traffic lights, and you'll see the post office next to the bank. She might respond, thank you so much for your help. And you could answer warmly, you're welcome. Have a great day. I remember a few weeks ago, I helped a man visiting our area for the first time. He was looking for a nearby pharmacy. I gave him clear directions and he said, I appreciate it. That saved me a lot of time. Moments like these show how small acts of communication can build confidence and kindness. Now let's talk about buses. Imagine you're traveling and you want to check if you're on the right one. You ask the conductor, excuse me, does this bus go to the city center? The conductor replies, yes, it does. You'll reach there in about 20 minutes. A few months ago, I was traveling to a new district and wasn't sure where to get off. I asked the bus driver about the nearest stop to my destination. He explained clearly, and I arrived without any trouble. Polite questions like this make public transport much easier. How about trains? Imagine you're at a station and ask the ticket officer, excuse me, is there a direct train to Chittagong today? The officer replies, yes, there's one at 3:45 p.m. Do you want a reserved seat? I remember when I visited Sylhet. I asked the staff at the station, which platform is for the next train to the city? He explained patiently, and because of that, I didn't miss my train. Asking clear questions can make travel stress-free. Airports are another place where English is essential. Imagine you're at the information desk and say, "Excuse me, which gate is for flight 402 to Chittagong?" The staff member replies, "Gate 12. Boarding will start in 30 minutes. Last summer, I asked for directions to the lounge at an airport. The staff gave me clear instructions, and I found it easily. Airports can be busy and overwhelming, but precise questions save time and reduce stress. Now imagine you're booking bus tickets. You might ask at the counter, "Could you tell me if this ticket allows luggage storage, and is there a window seat available?" The clerk replies, "Yes, luggage storage is included, and we have a window seat available. Would you like me to reserve it?" A few months ago, I bought a bus ticket for a long journey. I asked about seating and luggage beforehand, and it made the trip much more comfortable. Travel also includes trains with extra services. Imagine you ask, "Excuse me, is there a dining car on this train, and does it serve vegetarian meals?" The staff replies, "Yes, the train has a dining car with vegetarian and non-vegetarian options. Meals can be ordered during the journey." Last year, I took a train ride and asked about the food options. Knowing in advance helped me enjoy the trip without worry. Sometimes you need to confirm details. Imagine you say at the ticket counter, "Excuse me, could you confirm the departure time for train 520 to Barasal and the seat number assigned to me?" The staff answers, "Your train departs at 4:30 p.m., and you are in seat 21B, coach C." A few months ago, I traveled to a new city and asked the staff about platform information. That one small question prevented a big mistake. And don't forget about city transport, like metro trains. Imagine you ask, "Excuse me, does this line go directly to the Central Market, and how long does the journey take?" The staff replies, "Yes, it's direct. The trip takes approximately 25 minutes, and trains run every 10 minutes. Last year, I tried a new metro line and asked similar questions. Because of that, I reached my destination without stress. Even when buying tickets, it's smart to ask questions. Imagine you ask at the counter, "Excuse me, can I reserve 2 seats for the 5 p.m. bus to Kola, and are there any discounts available?" The clerk says, "Yes, we have 2 seats available, and there's a 10% discount for online booking. Would you like me to reserve them now?" I remember asking about discounts before a long trip, and it saved me money while also giving me a better seat. Travel isn't just about tickets, it's also about hotels. Imagine you ask at a hotel reception, "Good afternoon. Could you confirm if the hotel provides complimentary breakfast and Wi-Fi access in all rooms?" The receptionist replies, "Yes, breakfast is included and Wi-Fi is available in all rooms. Would you like a room with a city view?" A few months ago, I booked a hotel and asked about services in advance. That way, there were no surprises and I had a comfortable stay. These examples show us something important. When traveling, clear, polite questions give you confidence, reduce stress, and help you enjoy the journey more. Whether it's a bus driver, a station clerk, or a hotel receptionist, the words you choose can make your travels smoother and friendlier. We've traveled together through workplaces, schools, shopping trips, and long journeys. Now let's come back to a place that's close to the heart: home and family life. Home is where many of our most important conversations happen. They may be short and simple, but they shape our relationships and make our daily routines smoother. Let's begin with a typical morning at home. Imagine a mother saying, "Good morning, Daniel. Did you sleep well?" And Daniel replies, "Yes, Mom. I slept well. What's for breakfast?" The mother smiles and answers, "We're having eggs and toast today." I still remember mornings from my childhood. My mom would always ask me, "Did you sleep well?" It was such a simple question, but it made me feel cared for and loved. Now let's think about family responsibilities. Imagine a father saying, "Emily, could you help me set the table for dinner?" Emily replies, "Of course, Dad. Where should I put the plates?" And he says, "Put them next to the forks and knives." Moments like these remind us that home is a place where teamwork begins. Sharing small responsibilities teaches respect and cooperation. Sometimes family life means solving small problems together. Imagine a child saying, "Mom, I can't find my homework." The mother replies, "Did you check your school bag carefully?" The child says, "Oh yes, here it is. Thank you, Mom." I remember losing my homework once when I was in primary school. My father calmly helped me check my books, and of course, the paper was right there all along. Instead of scolding me, he taught me the value of staying calm when something is missing. Evening conversations are also special. Imagine a father asking, "How was school today, Alex?" Alex replies, "It was good, Dad. We learned about space in science class." The father smiles and says, "That's wonderful. Tell me more about what you learned." When I was younger, my dad used to ask me the same thing every evening. "How was school today?" At the time, I didn't always give long answers. But looking back, I realized he was creating space for me to share and feel heard. Family conversations also include encouragement. Imagine a mother saying, "Sophia, I saw your drawing. It's beautiful. You have real talent." Sophia beams and says, "Thank you, Mom. I want to draw even more." Encouragement like this can shape a child's confidence for life. I remember my grandmother once praising me for a story I wrote. She said, "You have a gift for words. Keep writing." That moment still motivates me today. Now let's think about weekends at home. Imagine a brother saying, "Do you want to play a board game, Mia?" And Mia replies, "Yes, let's play. I'll set up the pieces." The brother says, "Great. Let's invite Mom and Dad too." Family games or activities build connection. I remember playing cards with my family on rainy evenings. We laughed so much, and those moments became some of my happiest memories. Sometimes family life also means apologies. Imagine a child saying, Sorry, Mom, I broke a cup by accident. The mother replies, It's okay. Accidents happen. Just be careful next time. I remember breaking a glass once when I was little. My mom said almost the same words. It's okay. Just be more careful next time. That kindness taught me that mistakes don't have to bring fear. They can bring lessons. Now let's look at planning together. Imagine a father saying, This weekend we're going to visit Grandma. The children cheer and say, Yay, we love visiting Grandma. I remember visiting my grandmother every summer. She always prepared special food and told wonderful stories. Trips like that reminded me that family isn't just about daily routines. It's about traditions and memories. Sometimes family conversations are about feelings. Imagine a daughter saying, Dad, I'm worried about tomorrow's test. And the father replies, Don't worry, Emma. You've studied well. Just stay calm and do your best. I remember before an exam, I told my mom I was nervous. She gently said, Julia, being nervous means you care. Just breathe and focus. You'll do fine. Her words still echo in my mind when I face challenges. Even chores at home can be a chance for communication. Imagine a mother saying, James, could you water the plants in the garden? James replies, Sure, Mom. I'll do it right after I finish my homework. In my own home, watering the plants was always my job. At the time, I didn't think much of it, but now I realize it taught me responsibility and care for nature. And let's not forget family meals. Imagine everyone sitting together at the dinner table. The father says, Let's go around and share one good thing that happened today. Emma says, I scored well on my test. Daniel adds, I made a new friend at school. The mother smiles and says, That's wonderful. I'm proud of both of you. Family meals can be full of these small but meaningful conversations. In my home, we used to share one highlight of the day. It made us all feel closer and reminded us to be grateful. So, home and family life may seem ordinary, but every conversation, whether it's setting the table, sharing encouragement, or asking about someone's day, is a chance to practice warmth, clarity, and connection in English. Health and environment are two areas of life where our words matter deeply. When we speak about our well-being or the world around us, we're not just sharing information. We're also showing care for ourselves, for others, and for the planet. Let's begin with health. Imagine a patient at a clinic saying, Good morning, doctor. I've been having headaches for the past few days. Could you please check what might be wrong? The doctor replies, Good morning. Let's run some tests and see. Meanwhile, make sure you get enough rest and drink plenty of water. I remember once when I felt unwell and visited my family doctor. I explained my symptoms and he patiently listened before giving me advice. That experience showed me the importance of speaking clearly and politely about health concerns. Pharmacies are another place where health conversations happen. Imagine you go to a pharmacy and say, Excuse me, could you give me something for a sore throat? The pharmacist replies, Certainly. Here's a throat lozenge that should help. If the pain continues, please see a doctor. I remember buying medicine for a cold once. I explained my symptoms clearly, and the pharmacist guided me to the right solution. Speaking politely and asking the right questions made all the difference. Sometimes health means giving comfort to loved ones. Imagine a child saying, "Mom, I don't feel well. My stomach hurts." The mother replies, "I'm sorry to hear that, dear. Let's rest for a while. And if it doesn't get better, we'll see the doctor." I remember when my little nephew once complained of a stomach ache. His mother stayed calm, gave him gentle reassurance, and soon he felt much better. That calm, supportive language is just as important as medicine. Now let's talk about healthy habits. Imagine a friend saying, "I want to start exercising, but I don't know where to begin." And you reply, "Why not start with a 20-minute walk each day? It's simple and effective." I once encouraged a colleague to take daily walks. At first, he wasn't sure it would help, but a few weeks later, he told me, "I feel stronger and less stressed. Thank you for the advice." Words can inspire healthy change. Another part of health is diet. Imagine someone asking, "Could you suggest some healthy breakfast options?" And you reply, "Sure. Oatmeal with fruit, whole grain toast with eggs, or yogurt with nuts are all great choices." I remember when I switched from sugary breakfasts to oatmeal and fruit. A friend suggested it, and it made my mornings more energetic. Sometimes a small conversation can transform a daily habit. Now let's shift to the environment. This is an area where language also inspires responsibility. Imagine a neighbor saying, "We should start recycling more in our community." And you reply, "That's a great idea. Let's put recycling bins in front of each building." I remember when my local neighborhood group started a recycling project. It all began with one person suggesting it during a meeting. That single suggestion grew into a system that helps everyone recycle more easily. Another everyday environmental habit is saving energy. Imagine a father saying to his son, "Remember to switch off the lights when you leave the room." The son replies, "Okay, Dad, I'll remember next time." My own father used to remind me of this. At the time, I thought it was just a small rule. But now I see how these little habits, practiced daily, add up to a healthier planet. Water conservation is another important topic. Imagine a mother saying, "Please turn off the tap while brushing your teeth. We need to save water." The child replies, "Yes, Mom, I'll do that from now on." I remember once visiting a city where water was limited. People were very conscious about every drop. That experience made me realize how powerful habits, and the words that encourage them, can be. Sometimes environmental conversations happen in schools. Imagine a teacher saying, "Class, let's plant some trees to make our school greener." The students reply with excitement, "Yes, let's do it." I once took part in a tree planting event at my university. The simple act of planting together built a sense of community and care for nature. And don't forget about transport and pollution. Imagine a friend saying, "We should try carpooling to reduce traffic and save fuel." You reply, "That's a great suggestion. Let's share rides to work from now on." Last year, my colleagues and I tried carpooling. Not only did it save money, but it also gave us time to talk and bond during the commute. Words can start small changes that bring real results. So, when we speak about health and the environment, we're doing more than just exchanging information. We're encouraging responsibility, showing care, and creating habits that protect ourselves and our world. Food is such a beautiful part of life. It's not only about eating. It's about sharing, inviting, and connecting with people. The conversations we have around food often carry warmth, hospitality, and friendship. Let's begin with social invitations. Imagine a friend saying, "Would you like to come over for dinner this weekend?" And you reply, "That sounds wonderful. What time should I come?" The friend smiles and says, "Come around 7 o'clock. We'll have a nice meal together." I remember once when my neighbor invited me for dinner. At first, I wasn't sure if I should bring something. My mother reminded me, "Always take a small gift, maybe fruit or dessert." I did, and my neighbor was so touched. That experience taught me that small gestures make social invitations warmer. Now imagine you're the one inviting. You could say, "We're having a barbecue this Saturday. Would you like to join us?" A friend might answer, "Yes, thank you. Should I bring anything?" And you can reply, "Just bring yourself. We'll take care of the rest." One summer, I invited my colleagues for a simple outdoor meal. Everyone brought a small dish, and together we had a wonderful afternoon. The language of invitation is the language of inclusion. It makes people feel wanted and welcome. Now let's move to restaurants, another common place for practicing English. Imagine you sit down and the waiter says, "Good evening. Here's the menu. May I take your order?" You might reply, "Yes, I'd like the grilled chicken with vegetables, please." If you're not sure about something, you could ask, "Excuse me, could you recommend a vegetarian dish?" The waiter might answer, "Certainly, the pasta primavera is very popular." I remember once dining at a restaurant with my cousin. She asked the waiter, "Does this soup contain dairy?" The waiter replied kindly, "Yes, it does. But we can prepare a dairy-free version for you." That polite question made the meal stress-free. Ordering drinks is another simple but useful conversation. Imagine saying, "I'd like a glass of orange juice, please." Or, "Could I have some sparkling water?" Small sentences like these make dining smooth and enjoyable. Sometimes you need to ask about details. For example, "Excuse me, does this dish come with rice or bread?" The waiter might reply, "It comes with rice, but we can serve bread if you prefer." Once, while traveling, I asked a waiter about spice levels. I said, "Is this curry very spicy?" He replied, "Yes, but we can make it mild for you." That one question turned a meal from something overwhelming into something enjoyable. Restaurants are also places to practice polite compliments. Imagine after your meal you say, "The food was delicious. Please thank the chef." The waiter replies, "Thank you. I'll pass on your kind words." I still remember a time when I told a chef how much I enjoyed his cooking. His face lit up and he said, "That makes my work worthwhile." Words of appreciation go a long way. Now let's think about food shopping with friends. Imagine a friend says, "Let's buy some ingredients and cook together tonight." You reply, "Great idea. What should we make?" The friend says, "How about pasta with vegetables?" Cooking together is another way that food creates connection. I remember once cooking with my friends during a weekend trip. We laughed, shared tasks, and enjoyed the meal more because we made it together. Food also carries cultural meaning. Imagine someone asking, "What's a traditional dish from your country?" You might reply, "In my country, we often eat rice with lentils and vegetables." I've had many such conversations while traveling. People love to share their food traditions, and it often leads to deeper discussions about culture and family. And of course, sometimes you need to politely refuse food. Imagine someone offers you cake and you say, "Thank you, but I'm full right now. Maybe later." The host smiles and says, "Of course, no problem." I remember when I visited a friend's home, they kept offering more food. At first, I wasn't sure how to refuse politely. Then I learned that adding "maybe later" keeps the kindness while still saying no. So, whether it's inviting a friend for dinner, ordering at a restaurant, shopping for ingredients, or simply talking about traditional meals, food brings people together. And the English we use around food is full of warmth, gratitude, and connection. Public services, banks, and customer support centers are places where clear, polite English really makes life easier. These conversations often involve important details, like money, accounts, or official documents, and choosing the right words helps everything go smoothly. Let's begin with the bank. Imagine a customer walks up to the counter and says, "Good morning, I'd like to open a savings account, please." The bank clerk replies, "Good morning, certainly. Could you please provide your ID and address?" I remember when I opened my very first bank account. I was a little nervous, but the clerk guided me step by step. I realized that even in formal places like banks, politeness and clarity make communication comfortable for both sides. Now imagine someone needs to deposit money. They might say, "Excuse me, I'd like to deposit this check into my account." The clerk replies, "Of course. Could you please fill out this deposit slip?" I once helped my cousin at the bank when she wasn't sure how to phrase her request. She simply said, "I want to put money in my account." The clerk understood, but after that I suggested she use the phrase, "I'd like to deposit." It sounds more natural and professional. Sometimes you need to withdraw cash. Imagine saying, "I'd like to withdraw $200 from my account, please." The clerk replies, "Certainly. Could you enter your PIN here?" I remember when I traveled abroad and needed cash quickly. I practiced this exact sentence before going to the counter, and because of that, the process was quick and stress-free. Now let's think about public services. Imagine you're at the post office and you say, "Good afternoon. I'd like to send this parcel to London. Could you tell me the cost and delivery time?" The clerk replies, "Good afternoon. The cost is $15 and it will take about 5 working days." I remember sending a package to my friend overseas. At first, I wasn't sure how to ask about delivery times. But once I asked politely, the clerk gave me all the details I needed. Customer support is another area where clear communication helps. Imagine you call a company and say, "Hello, I recently bought a washing machine from your store, but it isn't working properly. Could you send someone to check it?" The representative replies, "I'm sorry to hear that. Could you provide the model number and your address? We'll arrange a service visit." I once had to call customer support when my internet wasn't working. I explained clearly, step by step, first the problem, then my account details, then my location. Because of that, they solved the issue much faster. Sometimes public services also involve asking for information. Imagine you're at a city office and you say, "Excuse me, could you tell me the process for renewing my driver's license?" The officer replies, "Yes, you need to fill out this form and bring 2 passport-sized photographs." I remember when I renewed my own license. I asked lots of questions politely, and the officer explained everything in detail. Without asking, I would have missed important steps. Even libraries are part of public services. Imagine you go to the counter and say, "Excuse me, I'd like to renew this book for another 2 weeks." The librarian replies, "Of course. I'll update it in the system for you." I once forgot to renew a book and ended up with a fine. Since then, I always remember to politely ask for renewals in advance. It saves time, money, and stress. Banking also includes asking for services. Imagine you say, "Could you please issue me a new checkbook?" The clerk replies, "Certainly. It will be ready for collection in 2 days." I remember requesting a new ATM card once. At first, I just said, "I need a new card." But the clerk kindly guided me to say, "Could you issue me a new card, please?" And I realized how much tone changes the interaction. Customer support also requires patience. Imagine you call and say, "Good afternoon, I ordered a laptop online, but it hasn't arrived yet. Could you check the delivery status?" The representative replies, "I'm sorry for the delay. Let me check the tracking information for you." I've had this exact experience. Instead of complaining, I simply explained politely. The representative helped quickly and the laptop arrived the next day. So, whether it's banks, post offices, libraries, or customer service calls, the language of respect and clarity is the key. Words like, "Could you please," "I'd like to," and "excuse me" open doors to smoother service. And with each polite interaction, you're not only solving your problem, you're also practicing English in the real world. Work and career are big parts of our lives. We spend so much of our time at the workplace, and the way we communicate there shapes not only our professional growth, but also our confidence and relationships with others. Let's begin with something very practical: job interviews. Imagine an interviewer asking, "Can you tell me about yourself?" And you reply, "Yes, I recently graduated with a degree in business administration. I enjoy working with teams and I have experience in project management from my internship." I remember when I attended my very first interview. I was nervous, of course, but I had practiced answers to common questions like this one. Speaking calmly and clearly helped me feel more confident, even when my heart was racing. Now imagine the interviewer asks, "Why do you want to work for our company?" You could say, "I admire the company's focus on innovation and customer service. I believe my skills in communication and teamwork would be a good fit here. I once coached a friend who was preparing for a teaching position." She practiced saying, "I'm passionate about education and want to contribute to a school that values creativity." The more she practiced, the more natural it sounded. And yes, she got the job. Work communication isn't just about interviews. It's also about teamwork. Imagine a manager saying, "Could you please prepare the presentation by Friday?" And you reply, "Of course. I'll have it ready by then." I remember working on a project where deadlines were very tight. By simply saying, "Yes, I'll take care of it," and then delivering on time, I built trust with my team. Small words of responsibility create big opportunities for growth. Sometimes at work, you need clarification. Imagine your colleague gives instructions and you say, "Excuse me, could you explain the second step again? I want to make sure I understood correctly." The colleague replies, "Of course. The second step is to double-check the data before sending it." I've asked for clarification many times. At first, I worried it might make me look less capable. But then I realized, asking politely actually shows responsibility, because it prevents mistakes later. Workplaces are also places for feedback. Imagine a manager saying, "Your report was very clear. Well done." You reply, "Thank you, I'll keep improving." I once had a boss who praised me for a project I'd worked hard on. That one compliment gave me the energy to keep pushing myself. Feedback, both giving and receiving, is a powerful tool in any career. Meetings are another common setting. Imagine your boss asks, "What's your opinion on this proposal?" And you say, "I think it's a good idea, but we may need to adjust the timeline." I once suggested an adjustment in a meeting. At first I was hesitant, but after I spoke, others agreed. It taught me that polite honesty can add real value in discussions. Now let's think about career development. Imagine you say to your supervisor, "I'd like to take part in the upcoming training program. Could you guide me on how to register?" The supervisor replies, "Yes, I'll send you the details by email." I remember when I asked for extra training in communication skills. My supervisor was happy to support me. That one course opened up many opportunities later. Networking is also part of career growth. Imagine you meet someone at a conference and say, "Hello, I'm Anna. It's nice to meet you. What do you do?" The person replies, "I'm a software developer. And you?" I once met a mentor just by starting a conversation at a seminar. A simple question, "What do you do?" led to years of guidance and support. Even small office conversations build relationships. Imagine a colleague says, "Good morning, how was your weekend?" And you reply, "It was great, thank you. I went hiking. How about you?" I used to underestimate these small talks, but they create connections that make teamwork smoother and the workplace more enjoyable. Sometimes work also requires handling conflict. Imagine a colleague says, "I think you missed a detail in this report." You reply, "Thank you for pointing it out. I'll review it right away." I remember when a colleague corrected me once. Instead of being defensive, I simply said, "Thank you." That small choice kept the relationship positive and professional. So, career development isn't just about skills, it's about communication. From interviews to teamwork, from small talk to feedback, every word shapes how we grow and how others see us. Clear, polite, and confident English opens doors in the workplace, sometimes more than technical skills alone. Now, let's imagine a typical classroom scenario. Picture yourself sitting in an English class, notebook open, pen ready. The teacher says, "Teacher, today we're going to practice giving directions in English. Can anyone tell me how to get from the library to the park?" Even if you're shy, take a moment and respond. You might say, "Go straight down this street, then turn left at the traffic lights. The park is on your right." Notice how this exercise combines vocabulary, prepositions, and sentence structure in a real-world context. To make it stick, repeat it out loud a few times and imagine yourself guiding someone through the city. Visualization is a powerful tool in language learning. Let's move on to another scenario, one you might encounter during self-study at home. Imagine you're reviewing a list of vocabulary words from a recent lesson. Instead of simply reading the words, try creating short sentences for each one. For example, if the word is challenge, you could say, "Learning English is a fun challenge every day." By using the words in sentences, you reinforce their meaning and how they're naturally used. You can even speak these sentences aloud, record yourself, and then play it back. Listening to yourself helps you catch pronunciation mistakes and notice areas for improvement. Next, let's explore dialogue practice in everyday life. Suppose you're practicing English with a friend, either in person or online. You might role-play a conversation at a café. You. "Hi, could I get a latte, please?" Friend. "Sure. Would you like anything to eat with that?" You. "Yes. I'll take a blueberry muffin. Thank you." After the first run-through, switch roles. Now you are the barista and your friend is ordering. Role reversal helps you see conversations from both sides, improving comprehension and confidence. Study routines are not just about repeating dialogues, they're also about reflection. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes to review what you've learned. Ask yourself, what new words did I use today? Which sentences felt natural, and which ones were tricky? Writing down your reflections in English makes the learning process more intentional and meaningful. Let's talk about another practical method. Shadowing. Shadowing is when you listen to a short audio clip in English and repeat it immediately, trying to match the speaker's rhythm and intonation. For example, if the clip says, "I usually start my day with a cup of tea and reading the news," you repeat it aloud, paying attention to the natural pauses, emphasis, and tone. Shadowing improves pronunciation, fluency, and listening comprehension simultaneously. It might feel a little awkward at first, but consistency is key. Another everyday exercise is learning through observation. For instance, while cooking, you could read a recipe in English. Try saying the instructions out loud. Chop the onions finely, heat the oil in a pan, add the onions, and sauté until golden. This makes language learning practical and contextual. You're connecting words directly to actions, which helps them stick in your memory. Now let's explore self-improvement habits that extend beyond language learning. Journaling, for example, can be incredibly effective. Write a short paragraph about your day, a goal, or a challenge. Then, review it and identify one area where you could improve your English usage. For instance, you might notice you overuse a simple word like good and decide to try alternatives like excellent or fantastic. Finally, remember the power of small, consistent habits. 15 minutes of reading, 10 minutes of writing, or 5 minutes of speaking practice every day adds up. Combine these small sessions with periodic reflection and role-play exercises, and you'll notice your fluency improving faster than you expected. Now, let's move into more advanced learning strategies. Once you feel comfortable with basic dialogues and vocabulary, the next step is to challenge yourself with longer sentences and real-life scenarios. For example, imagine a conversation at a language exchange event. You: "Hi, I'm Julia. I'm learning English and I'd love to practice speaking with you." Partner: "Hello, Julia. That's great. I'm also learning, but I can help you with pronunciation if you like." You: "Thank you. Could we start by talking about our favorite books?" Notice how this dialogue encourages natural conversation, vocabulary expansion, and cultural exchange. Practice it out loud, and don't be afraid to pause and think before responding. Thinking in English is a skill that develops gradually with practice. Another powerful technique for adult learners is learning through media. Watch a short movie scene, a TV show, or a YouTube video in English. Pay attention to how native speakers use expressions, intonation, and gestures. Then try repeating lines from the scene as if you were the character. For instance, if a character says, "I can't believe I forgot my umbrella again," repeat it several times, mimicking their tone and emotion. This builds both fluency and confidence. Interactive exercises also make learning more engaging. One method is the question and answer game. Ask yourself questions like, What did I eat for breakfast today? How do I get to the nearest library? Or, what is my favorite season and why? Then, answer them in full sentences aloud. You can even record your responses and listen back to spot areas for improvement. This exercise strengthens speaking fluency, sentence structure, and storytelling skills. Let's not forget the value of peer learning. Find a friend or a language partner and schedule regular practice sessions. Role-play various scenarios. Ordering food at a restaurant, booking a hotel room, or discussing a recent news story. For example, I read an interesting article about renewable energy yesterday. Partner: Really? What did you learn? I learned that solar power usage has increased significantly in many countries. Through dialogue, you not only practice speaking, but also enhance listening comprehension and critical thinking in English. Another effective method is self-recording. Pick a short passage from a book, an article, or a dialogue, and read it aloud while recording yourself. Then listen carefully. Ask, did I pronounce every word correctly? Was my intonation natural? Did I speak clearly and confidently? By actively evaluating your own speech, you accelerate progress in both pronunciation and fluency. Learning through storytelling is another engaging strategy. Imagine retelling a story from your childhood or describing a recent experience in English. Start with simple sentences. Last weekend, I visited the park with my friends. We played soccer and had a picnic. Then gradually add details, emotions, and dialogue. My friend Sarah brought her dog. The dog ran around happily and we all laughed when it jumped into the pond by mistake. This exercise enhances creativity, vocabulary, and narrative skills. Finally, let's explore habit stacking. Combine English practice with other daily activities. For example, while commuting, listen to an English podcast. While cooking, read a short recipe aloud. Before bed, write a few sentences reflecting on your day. By integrating language practice into your routine, learning becomes natural and consistent, rather than a separate, forced activity. Remember, self-improvement is gradual. Celebrate small wins, embrace mistakes, and consistently expose yourself to English in multiple ways: speaking, listening, reading, and writing. Over time, these consistent habits build strong language skills and deepen your confidence. Now, let's explore English learning in the context of professional development. Many learners want to improve their English for work, career growth, or business communication. Imagine attending an online workshop or professional course in English. The instructor might say, "Instructor, today we'll focus on effective email communication. Can anyone give an example of a polite way to request information?" You might respond, "Could you please provide me with the latest sales report?" Practicing these professional phrases aloud helps you gain confidence in real-work scenarios. Repeat them, tweak them, and imagine yourself sending them in emails or saying them in meetings. Realistic role play is key for professional English. Online courses are another excellent resource. Platforms often offer lessons in writing, listening, speaking, and comprehension. For instance, you might take a module on business English vocabulary. Each lesson includes exercises like matching phrases with their meanings, filling in missing words, or creating sample dialogues. As you complete these exercises, narrate your thought process aloud. Say to yourself, "The word deadline means the date by which something must be finished. I could use it like this. The project deadline is next Friday." Speaking the material actively reinforces your learning far more than silently reading it. Let's also consider lifelong learning. Even outside of formal courses, there are countless opportunities to improve English. Reading articles on topics you enjoy, joining discussion groups online, or attending webinars in English exposes you to vocabulary and expressions relevant to your interests. For example, if you're passionate about technology, reading a tech blog in English might introduce you to phrases like cloud computing, artificial intelligence, or user interface design. Then, try explaining these concepts aloud in your own words. Cloud computing allows data to be stored and accessed online, rather than on my computer. Another practical approach is goal-oriented learning. Set specific objectives such as mastering 10 new business phrases per week, or giving a short presentation in English once a month. Create a small routine to achieve these goals. For instance, each morning, review vocabulary cards, practice sample dialogues, or write a paragraph about your workday. By setting measurable goals, you maintain focus and motivation. Mentorship and peer feedback also enhance learning. Suppose you have a colleague or friend fluent in English. Share your writing, ask for constructive feedback, or practice speaking together. For example, "Here's the email I drafted to my client. Could you check if it sounds professional?" Mentor: "It's clear, but you might say, please find the attached report instead of attached is the report." This type of feedback helps refine both language and professional communication skills, and it's also a safe environment to make mistakes and learn from them. Interactive online platforms often offer live practice sessions where learners can speak with native speakers or other learners. For instance, during a live discussion about a business case, you might say, "I think our marketing strategy should focus on social media engagement to increase brand awareness." Participating actively like this strengthens confidence and helps you think quickly in English, a crucial skill in professional and academic settings. Finally, remember that professional development and lifelong learning aren't limited to vocabulary or grammar. They also involve critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving. Combine your English practice with activities that stimulate these skills. Write a short report, create a presentation, or explain a complex idea aloud in English. Each of these activities integrates language learning with real-world application, making your progress meaningful and practical. As we reach the conclusion of this part on study, learning, and self-improvement, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've explored. Learning, whether it's English or any other skill, is a journey filled with small, consistent steps. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. Every word you practice, every sentence you speak, every mistake you embrace is a building block in your growth. Remember the importance of curiosity. Let your interests guide your learning. Whether you're reading, listening to a podcast, or engaging in a dialogue, approach each activity with a sense of discovery. Ask questions, experiment with new expressions, and make learning personal and meaningful. The more you connect English to your life, the stronger and more natural your skills will become. Consistency is another key. Small daily habits, whether 15 minutes of speaking, 10 minutes of reading, or 5 minutes of writing, compound over time. Combine these habits with reflection and self-evaluation, and you'll notice progress even on days when it feels slow. Growth often happens quietly, behind the scenes, until one day you realize how far you've come. Mistakes are not setbacks. They are evidence that you are actively learning. Every correction, every moment of self-reflection, and every role-play conversation strengthens your ability to communicate naturally. Embrace them with patience and kindness toward yourself. Finally, remember that learning is also about balance. Combine study with reflection, real-world practice, and moments of enjoyment. Use storytelling, media, peer feedback, and professional development exercises to enrich your journey. By connecting English to life, curiosity, and personal goals, learning becomes not just a skill, but a rewarding and empowering experience. So as you continue your journey, carry with you these ideas: curiosity, consistency, reflection, and resilience. Every step you take, no matter how small, brings you closer to your goal. Celebrate your progress, enjoy the process, and remember that learning is a lifelong adventure. Thank you for joining me today on English Without Limit. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and keep growing. I'm Julia, and I'll see you in our next episode, where we'll continue discovering ways to make English an effortless and natural part of your life.